Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Parto.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert and I'm here with my co-host KP and we are the Dog Driver Show. Today we have a couple calling in from Canada. KP, who do we have?
We have two extraordinary talented open drivers from Quebec today with us, champions of the champions, Marco Rivest and Anny Malo. And I had the opportunity to meet both of them in Fairbanks and in Alaska, I guess, twice already. And phenomenal dog team. They have been doing this for a long time. They are the master of their games, open class, stage racing, Le Pas. Top notch dog team in the world, if I can say so. Guys, welcome to the show. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and how you started in our sport.
Well, I can start with it. I'm Anny Malo. I started doing mushing when I met Marco, would be 25 years ago. And, well, I really fall in love with the dogs and the guy that was behind the sled, or maybe I should say the guy and the dog. But anyway, yeah, I started doing sled dog when I met Marco at that time, and I was just out of school. I did my degree in biology, so I was already someone that really liked to be outside and to be close to the animals, so it was just a perfect sport for me. So I started then, and I think my first race was the year after we met, so it would be in 1996 or something like this. And at that time, they had pretty good race circuit in Quebec, and we had like 30-mile race, and that's what we were racing at that time. So, yeah, Marco, maybe you can add.
I'm Marco Rivest from Quebec. I started pretty young. I was 11 years old, I think, and started with my uncle. He was doing tours, leaving for a week, so I was taking care of the dogs. He left back home, so that's the way I started playing with sled dogs. And the year after, I guess I had 70 dogs in the yard and had a whole bunch of dogs since I was 11. And same thing, I started racing a couple of years after, doing that same circuit from 25 to 35 miles there we had in Quebec.
Guys, I believe that when you started in the sled dog racing, you made the decision to come to Alaska early in your career to get involved in the Alaskan circuit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was 18 years old. I just met Annie, and we decided to go for a learning experience. So we tried to find a spot to go handler. We missed the first years, and finally get all set with Joey Riddington and Pam, and we had a super year there. We spent from August to April, spent 9 months there and trained all the dogs, learned a lot about training and raced a little bit with the yearling, and had a really nice learning experience with Joey and Pam. They were super nice and had a lot of fun there.
And you probably know Joey, how he was really passionate about his sport. He was really crazy about it. Like, he was calling guys in Fairbanks every morning just to know how the mushers were doing on the racetrack and training and all that. And there is no second, you know, he was talking about sled dogs every second of the day. It was really nice for us. So we still are I would say we're at that rank we are now because we went there like 20 years ago. I think it's still there in our background. So, yeah, that was quite an experience.
For our listeners, and as I always mention, a lot of our listeners are not sled dog drivers who are not familiar with the names that Annie and Mark are mentioning. Late Joey Reddington was an icon in the sprint sled dog sport. The whole family, the Reddington family, is actually a phenomenal big name, huge name in our sport in the distance or sprint. And Annie and Marco, they're absolutely right. To have a start with being in this environment is and being like a sponge and absorbing every second and every ounce of knowledge that people like Joey they had. It is a phenomenal tool. And I have we asked this question from a lot of dog drivers that what is the best advice, and a lot of them they say what Annie you are saying and what Marco you are saying to get a mentor like Joey Reddington. I mean, obviously you had the icon as a mentor. Tell me, guys, about the dogs. Did you get any of the dogs from Joey, and did you introduce that line into your lines?
Yeah, we came back from Joey. We had few dogs, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 dogs, and we built a kennel on that, but it's like long times ago, and over the years we modified a little bit. When we came back from Joey, we were racing a little more sprint races because that circuit in Quebec went down pretty quick on the 25-30 miles, and it went down more in open class and more sprint race, and so we raced those dogs from Joey, and they were really nice open class and sprint dogs. And then when we get on longer stuff like Wyoming, we start to introduce something different in the breeding program, but we still have some on the background. They are nice dog with nice quality, but now we cross them with Cook's dogs and some different stripper dogs, some different line, and so we can keep breeding wheat eater.
Do you have any dogs, like any European lines in your background? When I saw your dogs, they have a nice coat usually on them, and they are, you cannot identify any, specific English pointer or German Shorthair or the Houndy stuff in them. But do you have some of them in the background?
Yeah, we have a bit, like our main stud from the yard was Ray. Like he's a great grandfather of pretty much 80% of the kennel, and he was from Higgilis line, so we got some, but we try to keep it a little farther down in the pedigree so they keep better fur for what we're looking for, and colder weather. We got some pretty cold in Quebec in our place, so they are easier to keep. So, but we still have some.
Guys, personally, I started to know you guys when you start to hit the American circuit, the pedigree races, and some of the bigger races like Onak, Ronde, or races like Le Pas. What did you do before that, and why did you decide to basically transition to those big name races?
Well, like I told you just before, I started really young. I was racing 25, 30 miles. I really like that kind of distance. You have time to appreciate the sled dog ride and see more trail in the way you keep more time outside than just sprint. And then after a few years, Quebec circuit get way shorter, more sprint, and we want to keep those longer races. So that's why we start moving west and race the Paw and Cross Lake, and we try Wyoming in 2012. It was even like 60 miles run. It was longer stuff than it is now, and we like better that little longer than sprint. So
yeah, I think the first time we went in the Le Pas was in 205, so it's fairly early in our mushing career, but we were going there like every 3 or 2 years. So some years we were staying in Quebec, but we were going like, I think we did like 205, 208, 2011. We were in Le Pas and Cross Lake those years, and then in 2012 we went in Wyoming, and from then I think we just kept going west every year after that.
Annie, if I understand correctly, your whole family, Marco, you kids, everybody is involved in the kennel part. Is that correct?
Yeah, for me, it was the most important condition to do that sport. I mean, even when I was pregnant, I was on the track. We were traveling together, and we were mushing, and kids were babies, and they were on the track, and we went to Cross Lake. They were still babies, and yeah, it's we worked hard to make it a family thing, and it's really important for us. Even if the kids, are going to school while they did school on the track, and there's always a way you can do it, and so everybody can enjoy the sport and enjoy the travel we do.
And tell me a little bit about your training. How do you start? When do you start? And how do you basically go from the physical and conditioning training to the distance and the speed training through the year?
Well, through the summer, we had our son was, for the last few years, was Tristan, and then when he get older, he started working in the business, and now it's Elliot, the youngest one. He's taking care of the kennel, but I feed dogs every night, but he's doing all the playing and keep them running around and socialize the pups, and so keep them moving for the summer, bring them to the river for a swim and spending more time. So he do all the summer stuff, and we usually start in August, mid-August, when the temperatures start cool down a little bit. So then we start 4 miles and train them up to depend on what is their goal race. We usually bring them around 30 miles in training somewhere around Christmas or something like that.
And it's mainly, it's at home. It's pretty hilly trail, so to the 16-mile loop, I think it's pretty hilly, so they kind of get used to, go up the mountains and down, and so we're really working on muscling the dogs, and so they learn to work hard in any kind of condition. So that's the main thing till the 16 miles, and then we have to track the dogs an hour from home to get snow and a little bit more flat trail, and work a little bit on speed at that time. So it will be like mid-November or at the end of November before we can get on the snow and work on a little bit more on speed.
Guys, you transition from ATV to sled immediately, or you run the dogs on the snow with the ATV also?
As soon as we can get on the sled, we get on the sled.
Okay.
When we start traveling north, that's why we do, because we can get on the sled earlier. There's snow a little earlier than in our place, and the trail is smoother, so we can, if we have like 3-4 inches of snow, we can get on the sled, and we just keep following with either the ATV or snow machine if we had to stop or anything, but just for security. But if we can go on sled, we go on the sled.
And usually in your normal year in the kennel, how many dogs do you start training with to organize your races and to select your team from?
Well, for the last few years, we start training about 50 dogs, like all over with the yearling, and older guys, they learn the yearling, how business works. So we start with 50, and we usually travel with about 35 dogs on the truck, which that's include the main group plus the best yearling that we bring, and start to get them used on all the traveling.
Usually have like 26 to 30 adults, and the rest of it is the best yearling that might do the team later in the winter.
We might have a little more this year.
Yeah, definitely. When I met you guys, you were doing the circuit, and doing the circuit, guys who are listening, is basically getting in your trucks, loading your dogs, and being away from home and your family for several months or several weeks, and traveling from race to race to race. And when you were in Fairbanks, believe you've had How many miles already done before you got there?
Oh, you mean on the truck?
Yes.
Well, probably close to 18,000 maybe.
Kilometers, so it'll be
Kilometers, yeah.
12,000 miles.
Yeah, and loading the dogs in their truck and taking them out every so many hours. I mean, it's a lot of work. And when you see these guys with their dogs, of course, all loose around the truck because they're all extremely well disciplined, it's a pleasure to see. I mean, they bond to each other. They become like a family with these guys. And when I saw them in Fairbanks, it was extremely impressive to have all these dogs loose running around, Marco and Annie. It's a lot of work, definitely a lot of work. So how do you give me a schedule of a daily, like your day schedule, Marco, when you are on travel going from, I don't know, Cross Lake to Le Pas or vice versa? How do you schedule your day? Tell me.
Yeah. Well, we usually wake up. We're not too much of a morning person, so we usually wake up around 6:37, and then first we drop the dogs, so we have to take them all out for pee and all their business for the morning. So, and then we get them back in the trailer, give them a little soup, like a breakfast. They get water and a little bit of food, baited water, so they drink more. And so we go for breakfast. We have time to make a little bit of travel. Then like about an hour and a half after we water the dogs, they need to get back out again for another pee. So we stop and drop them again. And then they usually go from there to noon. Then we have to drop them again. That's about another 2 hours and a half, I guess, 2 hours and a half. And they do it the third drop. And then they're usually good for the afternoon until we go for feeding. So it'll be around 4, 5, 6, depend where we find a good spot to stop on the road and have a good room to let them play a little bit, and then feed them, grab something to eat, and then keep traveling until 10 or 11 o'clock before we make the last drop before the night.
You don't calculate how many times you take the dogs in and out, because otherwise you'll never do it.
Yeah, we knew when we get back home in springtime, we have a couple of weeks to rest just because
for your back. Definitely. So, guys, tell me how you organize your dogs who are doing stage stop and doing 35 milers every day, day after day, going through the mountains to come to ONAC and be performant on a trail which is fast and is shorter, 20 miles, and be among the top teams in that race.
Well, after Wyoming, dogs got in really good shape. They went through all the training, and we tried to do some faster training before Wyoming too. So they seem some of the speed, not quite as fast, but they already see speed. And from Wyoming to Onak, there's still quite a bit of time, so we have time to pick up race that we know we're gonna increase speed, like slowly increase speed. And
like Le Pas is a really fast race. Even if it's 35 miles, it's really fast. I mean, when there's that big go, I mean, in Le Pas it's a must start, and some teams gonna go out at 20 miles an hour. So if you wanna increase speed, it's a really good race to do it.
And then we keep going. Like we went Cross Lake is a little shorter, so like not that much, but a few miles, so it's still good speed. And then we went Northwest Territories, then we go down to 20 miles, and they are really fast trail there. It's kind of running on ice, so dogs get used. They usually need about like 3 weeks to a month to really increase speed, like from 15 to 20 miles an hour, and go that kind of a speed and still going that easy. So they need 3 weeks to a month, but we have time to do it. You can sure not go from one weekend to another, but we pick our race so we can slowly increase the speed.
And we also, like I said, the Pas is really a fast race, and it's a super place to see which one of your dogs is the fastest one, because you can really rock and roll on that trail. So it's not just a thing that, have to get the dogs to be fast, but you have to choose the good dogs too. So that's, I think that's a mix of everything that make it possible to hit Onak and have a good team after that.
Annie, you just mentioned selecting the good dog. What is a good dog in your opinion, and how do you select the litters that you produce to create this good dog?
Well, I think it's a little bit the same thing for each musher. I mean, we as a person, there's some quality that we like that maybe another musher won't like, and I think it's the important thing is to breed your dog and try to get those qualities you like. So one thing we like is to have dogs that we can turn loose, and they're nice dogs. They like to work for us. Sure, they have to be fast, and I think you have to work with your genetics to get that kind of quality. And same thing for the toughness. I think we get more toughness on dog because we bred some Cook's line and different lines that we were thinking that we were getting more of that quality too. So I think it's it's genetics, is the way you train too. But I think too, in a team, I mean, you don't have a dog that look like his neighbor. I mean, that's what is so wonderful about having a team of dogs. You have 10 dogs; they're all different. They all have their quality. So you're the coach that have to work with each of them and do the best with all their different personality, I think.
And how many litters usually, and how many puppies you think you raise every year to reach this ultimate perfect good dog that we are talking about?
Well, for us, we think that to have like 20 pups a year, it's a super nice number of pups, because it's it's good enough to have good dogs for next year, but it's not too many, so we can spend time with them and socialize them the way we would like them to be socialized. And so I think for us 20, just to be the two of us and the kids, 20 is plenty, and it's a good number.
And when you are selecting these breedings and these pups, do you usually stick within the lines that you have, or you go outside and to breed to other studs or females too?
Yeah, we try to add new line. I would say almost once every 2 years, or sometimes every year. We either buy a dog or breed with a different male, just to get something from the outside and something different. And yeah, I think you have to do that if you want to keep moving forward.
Doing all these races, Marco and Annie, both of you, if you have to select like one of your favorite races, what would it be?
Well, I think the ultimate test for speed and endurance would be the paw. That's a tough race to win, but that's always a really nice fast track, and it's 35 miles, so it need to be really high quality dogs to run the paw.
Yeah, but they're all different, and I like Wyoming because you have nice weather there, and the trail are super nice too. You have a scenic view every time you turn a corner, so it's super nice race too. And the Onak is also the granddaddy of a sprint race. So then you have all those musher that you meet, and that's a speed race too. So I like to go fast personally. That's what I like the most. So yeah,
that's the fun part of it. Go from Wyoming to Onak. We can see all different kind of race and nice scenery and lots of traveling. That's the nice sport, I guess, from traveling and see all kind of stuff too. And all different people too.
Yeah, guys, you've been in this sport for several decades, and without making anyone feel old, because I've been doing the same myself. But uh, how do you see the sport evolving? We are seeing less and less professional or semi-professional kennels because of the cost, because of the environment, because of the habitat that we have around us is more and more difficult to have bigger kennels. And what do you see in the future of our sport?
Well, it's not an easy question. I think, yeah, sure, we saw that lots of kennel went down on number of dogs, and you can see less open teams too. I think the sport kind of evolved more in short race, ski drawing, and all that. With a different goal. I think that what they used to have when they first start the ONAC and all those race. I don't know what the sport's gonna be in some years. I hope we'll still have those race with open teams and longer race too. Because I think it's the way that you have a good dog, good quality dog. If you just doing short stuff, I think you kind of lose a little bit of that. But that's my personal opinion, I think.
And it's part of tradition to keep those big race. They're there for 75 years, like the Poit's really old race on that too, and it's sure a little scary to see the way it's going for those big race, but yeah, kind of surprising. There's still quite a bit of team, and it looked like it's went a little higher for the last year, so hope it's going to keep going, and there's some new musher going to jump in the dance and keep it going.
For our listeners, Annie and Marco, they are the new superstars in our field. 10, 15 years ago, we had the battles between the Streeper kennels and the Ellis kennel. Then it was Arlie and those guys, they retired. And Marco and Annie are the people who are competing at the top level in the world right now. And what they're saying is so true. Do you guys mentor other drivers in your country, around your neighborhood, or even now with the social media online and through email and messengers and all above?
Yeah, well, we are always ready to help. If anybody had question, we answer the best as we can. And that, like we told you in Quebec, it's get really short and ski jarring, and there's not that much people that do that kind of a race we do. But we have a friend that we help her a little bit for the last couple of years, and she's registered for Wyoming, and she still call quite a bit and ask for advice, and hope she can make it and have fun, and we help anybody else that would need some.
Yeah, I think this year in Wyoming you'll have 4 mushers from Quebec that are in the field, and I like to think that we're kind of part of it. So, and when they call home and they ask us a question about Wyoming, I mean, they're just welcome to do it. We're just open to tell everything, and I think that's a way that we're gonna keep the sport alive and make it grow.
That is so true. Do you guys, before you did Wyoming, did you train the dogs differently? Did you train the dogs specially for the mountains and the hills in Wyoming?
Well, we always train in the mountain, because in our place there's just mountain all around. So
okay.
we always try to find a flat trail, but it's never really flat. So we get some spot when we drive up north. It's a faster trail, but it's still not flat. But yeah, we always train kind of a mountain and try to find somewhere to get some faster run, but it's hard to find around her place. So we pretty much always the same kind of training, I guess.
Yeah.
Annie and Marco, I'm always fascinated by the couples that are involved with the sport, especially when you guys travel such distances. And I have a couple of questions for you guys. My first one is, how do you guys choose who races what race?
Well, for the last few years, Annie raced pretty much all the race. She did Wyoming, and last year she did the Paw and Cross Lake for the last few years, and we were wondering if I was running the ONAC, and then the kid said, well, Mom's doing a great job, so better let her go again. So I understand that I'm good handler and she's good racing, and I like better the training and the racing, so let's make a good team. So I train, I do the schedule for the race and the team and all that to get the dog ready and get them keep going all winter, and she's good racing driver.
Very good. So, guys, you had mentioned that your kids are involved with the race, and the next question is predicated on how old are those guys?
Elliot, the youngest one, is 16, and Tristan is 19.
Okay. So I had teenage kids as well, when growing up in the sport. How do you keep them motivated, and at what point is it okay for them to say, Mom and Dad, this isn't for me, I want to do something else?
Well, we never asked them to do chores in the kennel. We thought that this was our thing, our craziness thing, and we didn't ask them to work in the kennel, like everyday work and all that. They come when they want to come, and they spend time training with us, and they're racing. I mean, they're doing for fun. Actually, we don't want them to think it's a work. We're good enough in that.
Good.
And when they have to miss a month or so school, so that's pretty good motivation to like to race dogs, and we had a kind of a little deal with it, so they can keep the purse if they go ahead at the banquet and talk a little bit or just say thank you, sponsor and everything. So it's another good motivation that help them pay for their high school. Now they get pretty good money compared to some of the other kids just by racing dogs in the winter.
Right. So, guys, my next question is regarding COVID, and I know that the Canada border is much different than a lot of other borders around the world right now. How are you guys navigating that, going in with sort of an unknown? Here we are talking mid-October, and of course we don't know what's going to happen between now, January, and February.
Yeah, well, I think it's the same for everybody. It's kind of like you said, an unknown situation for this winter. But we're training as everything, was going like it should go. Like if there's a race in January in Wyoming, so we're doing our training like everything was normal, and we can control it. So we're not anxious about it. We're just gonna take, every day like it should comes, and that's about it. I mean, we like to train anyway, so it doesn't change, anything about training. And
dogs need to move in the way, keep in shape, so they are on the same training schedule, and if everything was normal.
So have you guys modified at all your travel plans? I know that KP had mentioned earlier that you're gone for maybe a month or two out on the road. How are you doing that right now if you don't know what's going to happen in January or February? I mean, what point do you say, yep, we can go, or no, we have to stay?
Well, the first race is Wyoming, so we'll know really fast if we can cross the border or not. And if it's a no, I guess we'll try to find other race in Manitoba. There's other race we can do in late January and 1st of February. We can go there. So we're gonna stay in Manitoba and Saskatchewan and do those races. We'll have to change planes, that's for sure. But we're kind of doing our training and our schedule like COVID was not there for right now, and we're probably gonna change at the last minute if it's happening like this. But yeah,
all right,
that's the way it is.
So, guys, I always ask the same question to all of our guests, and I am really interested to hear what you have to say, because you had said earlier that you guys provide a lot of mentorship to people that have questions. And the question is, if somebody was to just get involved with the sport, whether they want to do open races or those shorter races that you talked about, those ski jor races, I would like both of you guys to provide an answer. Annie, go first. What would you provide as one piece of advice?
Yeah, I was going to say get good dogs, but I think that's one that everybody can tell. So I think the important thing is to do the sport for the good reason. That means for your good reason. If you want to do for the first place, go for it. If you want to do just to participate in a race, that's the way you're going to do it. But just do it to enjoy everything in mushing, and spend lots of time with your dogs, your animals, and have fun with them. I think that's what we say at the end of it. Just have fun. I mean, yes, it's a competition. Yes, it's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to say, today I had fun and I'm ready to do it again tomorrow.
And I think a really important point too, that decide really good which kind of a race you're looking for right at the start, so you can go from one genetic to another that could be a little different, and get in touch with the people that do that kind of a race, or that what you're looking for. So don't go for try something and go ski joring and try to race 35 miles. There's like 2 words in between, and the things you really need to decide in which kind of a race you want to get involved before you start to buying dog and all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Very good. KP, anything else in closing for Annie and Marco?
Actually, I have one question. Marco mentioned that several times in his comments, motivation. In your opinion, and I know that behind it's not just people that don't show up to a race and win by accident, especially at this caliber of racing that these guys are doing, is hours and hours of work behind it. And in our sport, among I don't care if it's a canicross or a stage race, or if it is a open class or limited. In your opinion, Marco and Annie, the same thing. How do you have to keep your motivation? How do you have to get up every morning when you are sore and you are sick and you have to take the dogs out and go train in the dark, in the mud, in the cold?
Well, I guess it has to be a passion when you get there, and you just like it no matter what, and you just keep going. And then, like we said, dogs have to keep moving and keep in shape, so it has to be done, and that's the way it is. So when you get on the wheel, you just go for it, and you like it. We sure won't keep going the way we are doing if we don't like it, because it's a big job to do it.
Yeah, we just love what we do, but I think it's important. Like I said earlier, it's important to have fun in what you're doing. But it's important to have a goal too. I think, to know where you're going, and then it's more easier to get up and do your things every day. I think it's the same thing as a marathon runner or everybody that's doing sport. When you have a goal, you just go for it, and I think that's part of it. So that it's easier to.
And it's a lifestyle too. The dogs get part of the family now, and just like the kids, and so we spend time all as much as we can together. So.
It is so true. It is so true.
Very good. Annie and Marco, thank you very much for being on the show today. And for everybody that's listening, be sure to follow us on social media. Just search for Dogworks Radio. And the Dog Driver Show airs every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock Alaska time. And you can find us on just about anywhere you're listening to us on your podcast. So on behalf of that, we will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Parto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.